Capital Gang on Capital FM with Uganda Martyrs University in Nkosi. Making a difference.
Good morning and welcome to the Capital Gang. I am Oscar Semayam Soke. This morning we have good topics for discussion, beginning with the SONA, State of the Nation address that happened this week. Did you catch it? What caught your attention? That will be our first topic. But let me get this out of the way. We have a sponsor. Uganda Martyrs University is sponsoring the Capital Gang. And the Uganda Martyrs University is seeking applicants for undergraduate and postgraduate programs for the academic year 2024-2025. Applicants must have a degree in a relevant area from a recognized university and a minimum of 2 principal passes. Visit their campuses at Nkosi, Lubaga, Fort Portal, Masaka, Mbale, and Kampala, or call them. Uganda Martyrs University, where knowledge meets opportunity. In the studio, I'm stranded here with a lone guest, Mr. Edgar Tabaro, advocate, and another guest, Honorable Ibra Semuju. You're most welcome to the Capital Gang, Edgar.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mesa. I'm happy to be here once again with my contemporary, the Honorable Semuju, Ibrahim Munganda. I think he was 1 year ahead of me at university. He resided in Mitchell Hall. I resided in University Hall.
Yeah.
Over the years, I've watched Semuju, and I'm impressed by his progress, especially the maturity. 25 years ago, I would never have come close to him in
25 years ago, I was 25. So.
Yeah. I'm impressed, Honorable Semuju. I think I can risk now to.
It is okay to talk about him. He has come in a bit hungry. Star Cafe, thank you so much. So, Honorable,
in good faith.
let Honorable Semuju engage with the Star Cafe. There's chapati, there's mandazi, tea. Patricia, please help him out and let him have another banana as we begin the show. So. Did you listen to the State of the Nation address?
No, unfortunately, I didn't listen to it.
You did not listen.
But I
just go to the microphone.
I didn't listen to it, but I did read the.
Yes.
I did read the 23-page document. Unfortunately, when you read, you don't get.
You miss out.
You miss out, but on the body language, gesture, and you wonder whether he was
that cogent.
It's with that background that
I also didn't watch it, didn't listen to it, but I read it. When you read it, you look at all that historical background and
obviously, my office is just around the corner, so I was inconvenienced by the sirens. And
a green truck.
In their convoys making their way to.
Usually, there's a green truck. Was it there?
When it happens, business is paralyzed. All the courts are around there: High Court, Commercial Court.
Honorable Semuju, did you attend Parliament for the State of the Nation address this time round?
I didn't attend, but I watched.
Oh, you watched.
So you attended.
Attendance in the language of Parliament means attendance.
Yeah. So, but you watched it, though you did not attend.
I watched the State of the Nation address.
Was it deliberate not to attend? Because in the past you people have deliberately refused to attend.
This time the opposition said we will not attend.
Yeah.
But I have not attended both the reading of the budget and State of the Nation address for a while now. Mainly 2 reasons. The first, I don't think Museveni is a legitimate leader.
Oh.
He's in power because he controls the instruments that will put him there. 2, the inconveniences that come with attending functions where Museveni, maybe his son and wife. It is only yesterday that I heard MPs say they were allowed to go with phones. They did not have to subject them to COVID tests, something new.
Mm.
But for me, those are the two reasons I don't attend meetings where Museveni is.
Right. You are most welcome to the gang, Honorable Abdul Katonto. Looks like you've come in as hungry as Honorable Semuju, because both
But
of you...
you brought here tea. Everybody who takes, you complain.
I'm not complaining.
Then why did you bring it?
It is the manner in which you are both attacked. You don't even settle. So
You're
you're
taking it is part of the settling in.
It's part of the settling.
Yeah.
Oscar behaves like what they call a jadong. Jadong in Rome means a big man. When you visit a homestead,
Yeah.
the jadong always urges you on.
Yeah. You take. The things are here, you take.
Okay, Jadong, thank you very much.
Don't forget I'm O for Oscar. So, I'm really at home. Did you attend, Honorable Katonto?
Yes, I did.
You attended.
Yeah.
First time in a while? Because this time round you're not listening to the orders of your position.
Yeah, for sure. But even then, I've always attended.
Oh.
I think it is
level-headed.
I don't know about level, but I think it is an obligation.
Yeah.
Even if we disagree, we listen to each other. So boycott is not one of the things
You are not for boycott.
so enthusiastic about.
Okay. And Uganda won a football match last night. There was general happiness in Uganda. And I bring it up because State of a Nation address, I'm like you, I read, and it says the first ideology is love Uganda. Do we need to be reminded to love Uganda? Because he said, then he gave a history of whatever, and he said the first ideology is love Uganda. So that comes to you to begin with, Edgar. Do you need to be reminded to love Uganda? Do you need an ideology number one in Nesona that you must love Uganda?
I was on a talk show on the very day of the State of the Nation address on another media house, and I sent you a screenshot.
I had seen it actually on Twitter.
I sent you a screenshot, and I made it very clear that we seem to be suffering from a generation gap. It has set in, and clearly, even on this desk, on this show. You are a teacher, maybe you have the advantage of interacting with Generation Z, Gen Zs, and maybe it rubs off you through either osmosis or diffusion. But the rest of us who have limited interaction with Gen Z, believe me, the Gen Z generation has a very different approach to these things. And if we may think that they don't love their country, we may be largely mistaken. They have been absorbed in the fourth industrial revolution, and now heading to the fifth industrial revolution. It has absorbed local communities into the globalized world. There's a globalization of culture, there's globalization of thinking. The way the Gen Z operate these days, they communicate very differently. Their attention span is only 2 minutes, and they are more drawn to audio-visual than, written text and what have you. And they communicate more through...
Well, the State of a Nation address was audio-visual.
Audio-visual, yeah, but you see, and this is what I'll be delving into, that the State of the Nation address really fell short of addressing the dynamics and intricacies of that generation. They expected the president to pronounce fatwas and issue hadith to the troops he's commanding, but it came off as feeble and philosophical instead of taking the bull by the horns, as Semuju will be talking about much later, since he's a crusader. So.
Interesting. A fatwa on what?
On the malaise that is eating up our society. The impunity, growing impunity, graft. They are impeding our progress. They are checking our progress. I often remind you, Oscar, that I'm a lawyer, I'm a businessman. We deal with the global community. At the beginning of the week, we're hosting asset fund managers, what they call people who bring patient capital. People are coming to invest for long term, and they are looking at investing, social impact investments. And these funds are based out of the global Western capitals. Their CEOs are trained in these Ivy League colleges, and when they come with set boxes which they have to tick. And when they come, and there's something as important. By the way, some of those people take the State of the Nation address more seriously than we do, because that's how they're able to see policy, direction of what? Of government. Are we running? Are we walking the talk, or we are engaged in mere rhetoric?
So, in short, you were not that very impressed with from the address in terms of addressing policy, the state of a nation itself.
The address. I have a rich background in academia. Yeah. The address was more like a philosophical basis for the ideological foundations of the NRM. If they removed the heading, it came off like a lecture at some Institute of African Studies at University of Leiden, University of Minnesota, and the president is laying out the basis for his struggles, why he went to the bush. State of the Nation, there are many things that are even working in favor of government that he could have talked about. I and an Honorable Katutu, my senior and teacher, we issued, you saw the new statutory instrument on creation of new magistrate areas. Every district has a chief magistrate's court now. We have magistrates' courts at counties and in some cases sub-counties. I saw his district has you have 6 of them, Honorable Katutu? Yeah. I mean, this is progress that you'd have expected the president to talk about. You'd have expected him to talk about for instance, Kampala roads, you can see they are in a state of disrepair. Although I saw the Right Honorable Naban making some interventions, and you can see there are a number of diversions of the road now. Maybe the threats to arrest some people are beginning to pay off. At least where I reside, I see some earth movers and culverts being laid. So there's a loan, I think, which you people approved, and it was approved by the Attorney General, of $519 million US for improvement of Kampala infrastructure, roads and what have you. You'd have expected the president to talk about such things, but unfortunately, it was missing. Maybe where he touched really on some of the great issues that we need to address is the access to capital. But again, he was feeble. He was feeble. He didn't issue.
He said Bonaba Gagola is for other people. If you are able, go to UDB.
Go to UDB. But even access to UDB, you need accounts, audited accounts, and what have you. I've approached all these institutions before. I'm in production as well. I export meat out of Uganda together with other partnership with other people. So the bottlenecks, the 4 major bottlenecks. Okay. One being access to finance. 2, logistics, transportation costs. 3, electricity costs. And 4th, which is very important, the mindset. We don't seem to have the mindset. He says we're in the middle income, but do we have the mindset of middle income citizenry?
Let's go to Semuju here. Ask him if he loves Uganda. As the ideology 1, love Uganda. Ideology 2, love East Africa. Love Africa. Prosperity of the black person. And there was a mention of corruption between civil servants and even new parliamentarians.
You remember, Oscar, when Mr. Museveni was hosted by Capital FM? If you remember his opening remarks, were almost the same remarks that he begins his State of Nation address with. I have in the past struggled to find a story in Museveni's speech when I was working as a journalist. Sometimes, especially speeches that he prepares for. Because a State of Nation address, we've discussed it each time it has been delivered. And if you went back, we've said almost the same things. This is meant to be a structured address to deal with the issues that are affecting the country, where the country was a year ago, what were the issues, how have you dealt with those issues since then? Are there issues that emerged along the way? Did you deal with them, or how do you intend to deal with them? In many speeches, Museveni has made a reference to the budget, which is going to be read next week, that this issue emerged, we intend to deal with it this way, and in the budget I'll be either speaking more about it or I'll be providing money to deal with it. This specific address is one of those addresses to NRM caucus meeting, either when he's meeting Muchaka graduates. That's why the introductory part was on NRM ideology, NRM historical mission. He spoke. It sounded like an inaugural speech of someone who is lamenting and then vowing to deal with the problems that are structural. Not someone who's been in power for 38 years, and each action of his is going to be complementary. So he sounded like someone fresh who has come into power, is preaching love Uganda, love Africa. So for 38 years, we've had all those things, Oscar. So this was meant to be a focused speech to deal with issues that are affecting the country. The infrastructure, the road network has broken down. Security on the street. Now people can't be sure whether you carry a phone or you don't know who's going to hit you next. The employment, the poverty, and then deal with the capacity of the state to deal with these things. You will listen to the budget, and I hope they will not lie. If you listen to the budget, we have for the first time lost capacity to finance our own budget. Some people are speaking about $1.5 billion as revenue being collected at the time he took over power. His projection next financial year is that we will correct, and this is projection because we don't go beyond 26 trillion. We will correct 31 trillion, but we have the debt that is due to be paid is 34 trillion. This is the first time. We have never had a debt payment that exceeds the tax correction for the first time, at least since I have been following. And that's the state of the nation. We are highly indebted. We have no capacity to repay our debts. So even if you cry, Oscar, from morning to evening that Museveni should fix the roads in Kampala, he doesn't have capacity to do so. In my constituency, people are supposed to be compensated to give way for the southern bypass and Ginger Expressway. We borrowed money last financial year from African Women Bank, I think more than $600 million, to construct the Ginger Expressway. But we don't have money to compensate people for that work at start. And in many other cases. So Mr. Museveni I have said elsewhere that this sounded like a coursework. You know, Museveni taught at a college in Arusha. Moshi, yes. When they came to attack Idi Amin, and after being beaten, he went and settled there and started teaching because Nyerere had told them, "You stop fighting, you're causing me problems." So this sounded like one of those lectures in a class or a coursework for one of his students. And he's deliberate because Museveni is intelligent. So he knew I can't speak about these issues, but I can speak about others. So let me speak about the others. And he did. Now preaching Love Uganda, NRM ideology, Pan-Africanism. Because you see, these things, he should have been reporting. Should have been reporting if he actually wanted to speak about them. This is what it was last year, this is what it is, this is what it was so many years ago. But it was just preaching, general preaching. The only thing that I was happy about, we used to listen to Museveni sometimes 2.5 hours. But I think what the age has done, his speech was about 1 hour this time. I don't think he now has capacity to go beyond that. And that's why part of the MPs were sleeping. And many of the people listening to his speech.
Do you think it's his age, or as Edgar here says, it is the age of his audience? They can no longer manage more than an hour.
Even his age.
The attention span is...
Because you see, when you are delivering a State of Nation address, Oscar, one time we were with Museveni at a function, midway had to run to his toilet, which he moves with. I don't think during a State of Nation address you will stop midway and then you run to... It is not possible. So you have to fit within your body demands that you give a speech. and after certain you stop. So one time I listened to Museveni, the speech was nearly 3 hours. And he was not speaking about anything that we thought he was going to speak. So he was speaking about everything else, the creation of man at Ugobya Mugenyi, the what. And then the real issue that he was meant to address, he gave it about 2 minutes. So the age has also helped a bit to stop him from lecturing for many hours. And I saw that, I was watching.
Okay. We welcome Honorable Lydia Wanyoto Mutende Tugang. Most welcome to...
Good morning to our listeners and viewers and to the colleagues at the gang, and thank you, Oscar.
We welcome Honorable Robert Kasule Sebunya as well. Most welcome to gang.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let's enjoy the debate.
And we also welcome Namfi, Marianne Kasule Nafka. Most welcome to the Capital Gang.
Thank you, Oscar.
So, Honorable Katuntu, there's Nora Waraga on X, formerly Twitter, says to Semuju, and just because the president does not talk about what you expected, it doesn't necessarily mean his address was irrelevant. Longevity in power necessarily means the president and party in power repeat themselves in a SONA. But then earlier she had said a SONA means to inform the nation about its present economic, political, and social condition. It is a vehicle for the president to summarize the accomplishments and plans of their programs of government, both for a particular year until the end of their term of office, which seems to agree with what Edgar was saying. So, Honorable Katuntu, how did you perceive the State of the Nation address?
I think we don't have to start with how I perceived it. We need to start with the Constitution itself. What does the law say? Under Article 101, there are 2 presidential addresses provided for. Article 101 provides that the president shall, at the beginning of each session of Parliament, deliver to Parliament an address on, and I want to emphasize this word, on the state of the nation. On the state of the nation.
Not state of Africa.
Then 2, there is another address also provided for by the Constitution. The President may also, in consultation with the Speaker, address Parliament from time to time on any matter of national importance. So, the Constitution provides for 2 addresses. One, a mandatory one, and the word used shall at the beginning of each session address Parliament on the state of the nation. So, what is envisaged under this particular provision of the Constitution is the President should be addressing us on what the state is today, but not out of nowhere, because he last addressed us last session of Parliament. So that should be the baseline. When he last addressed us, what happened? We gave the president, for example, how much money have 52 trillion. How has he utilized it? Because you have to link the state of the nation to the budget or to the resources. The state of the nation, Oscar, is about accountability of the last or the ending financial year. And then the budget is about the following financial year. A wish list, as they say. So we made a very big mistake, and Parliament really, I don't debate the general debates in Parliament. There are many people who should have the opportunity to do that. So I don't, every State of the Nation address is debated by Parliament. So I leave that to many of my colleagues. Now, this time is different. I intend to make some contribution because we need to guide this country. The president cannot come and give a general address. That's not State of the Nation, on the State of the Nation. That one is provided for under the sub-article 2, which talks about any other address. they can come and talk about all issues, what Semuju is talking about. All those ones, you can address them under sub-article 1012. Article 1011 is about the state, on the state of the nation. Where is it today? And I'm telling you, my own appreciation of this particular provision is that we need to talk about, for example, the economy, talk about sectors of the economy. This is what health is. This is what works is. This is what education is. This is what employment is from last year. That's what we expect. However, in my view, honest view, this was purely like any other address. Because if I ask you, Oscar, what did he talk about education, since you are an educationalist?
That he's going to fight corruption.
And he did say that
what did he talk about health? What did he talk about infrastructure?
We are coming up with vaccines.
In infrastructure, talking about vaccines. So I think we need to. And the presidential speechwriters really should do this country or the president a favor and write a proper speech. Because the president employs people who are supposed to be doing, we pay them, who are supposed to be doing these things for the president. You don't write a general speech for a president on the state of the nation. It's not correct. Because for us as parliament, we even invited our colleagues, our sister parliaments, to come and attend this function. Many speakers came. And then eventually we went into general issues about Uganda, about Pan-Africanism, which are pertinent, I must say. They are really pertinent, but they're not supposed to be part of the state of the nation address. And I think that's where, as parliament now, Ibrahim, we should be talking about a law that helps the president to define what the state of the nation should be. Otherwise, as of now, last year he tried to do a little bit better, Oscar. He sort of went into some of those issues. Then he has gone back to his usual general speeches, and quite unfortunate. We need to enact a law that defines what the president should be addressing on the State of the Nation address.
Okay. Lydia.
I was in Kololo on Thursday. I took the option of being physically present and honoring the invitation of the Speaker. It is the Speaker that invited me. So I would like to thank the Speaker and the Institution of Parliament for inviting me. So, yeah, so I attended. I want to agree that, before I went to Kololo on Thursday, I looked up my copy of the speech of the Nation Address for last year. I think the structure of the one of last year, I want to agree that is more coherent, in line with the policy statements and guidelines. It is sector arranged in paragraphs. You can look for where you want to find education or health or even infrastructure, and there was that flow for the last year's statement. This year's statement, it was actually, the time was short, but it was the text, I think, is longer. It is a booklet, but it was not structured like that last year. So I think what I can say is that that's all is not lost. This is a very well listened to talk show. Next Thursday, I've seen already they are working on invitations on budget speech. The president will have an opportunity to speak again to the country. Maybe he can now be helped to bridge those gaps, because there are some areas that we are really glaring, in my opinion. You cannot speak to a country whose younger people are screaming of opportunities, and you do not mention anything about young people and opportunities and employment. And there are areas that are so specific to young people, like sports. We are hosting AFCON. We are doing a lot of sports So and we are doing a lot of work in the sports sector, or even in entertainment. Last evening I was watching a program on film people, film stars, and film. That's a very big entertainment area that attracts young people.
Yes, I wanted to help you, Lydia. And you nearly said last evening I was watching the Uganda Cranes beating Botswana. That was really good. It makes you love your country. But in addition, Lydia, hold on. In addition, Uganda beat.
You'll give me my time.
Oh yes, your Uganda Cranes, the cricket team, also won its first ever game at the Cricket World Cup. We beat Papua New Guinea. Yes, we beat them. Yeah, so we had already lost a match, but now this win has lifted us. So yes.
So for
I'll tell you what we did for talent.
For a country that should be proud of its young people and big population, our speeches, our anchor, our direction should be on how to direct the country in harnessing and utilizing young energy, but also skills. And that should be the rhythm of every country, our countries, because we are different. Oscar, countries are crying, they don't have population, they don't have young people. They have the aging population. Uganda has a young population,
Average age
dynamic,
26.
yes, dynamic, but also largely skilled now. And they are all over the place. So I think that even Parliament, I speak because I have now a copy of the Parliamentary Directory. Over 80% of Uganda's parliamentarians are a reflection of our country. They are between 40 and 45. There are very few who are beyond 50. And that speaks again to the age and the energy of our country. And they need direction. You want to say something, Tarek?
Related to that, because she's chairperson of the NRM Women's League.
Yeah, she's
81% of the voters in 2026 elections will be between the age of 18 and 30. Yeah. And so far from the statements we are hearing from the likes, I'm surprised she's, but not so surprising because she's my former student.
Yes, I'm your student, yes.
Maybe I imparted the skills.
Yes, you did. You taught me.
The statements you hear from public officials are so detached from that part of the population. Yet they're the majority.
There's a listener here, Right Yes Charlie, on Twitter, saying that Namfi, but I should tell Right Yes Charlie, the way Namfi is looking at the other guy as a girl, for once she's looking at her approvingly.
Well, yeah, guys are girls.
It was actually going to be my first point, that for a population whose 80% is below the age of 40, that conversation, that address did not address anything or have anything to do with them. And for me, that is a shame.
So maybe you're the ones who need the
It just sounded like a conversation between two 86-year-olds.
So I keep telling the members of parliament representing the youth that you've been overtaken by events. It's as if it's about to age, because there are members of parliament who are younger than the MPs who represent the youth. So our country should really focus on this God-given, because you cannot go to a factory and manufacture people. But we've grown a young population in the 21st century who have mostly skilled, and the urban centers are also growing. So for me, I think that the speech or the country's economy or the progression of the state of Uganda's affairs should really focus on what the majority of the country looks like, so that we speak focused on that population. Okay. And like Iti has said, sorry, like Iti has said, the countdown for the next, because this is about also governance, then the countdown to the next election is just 17 months. The presidential nominations and parliamentary, who are the flagships, are September next year. The calendar is out. So this should actually be the most sober national address, because next year people will be running up and down to fix their nominations. Okay. So I hope that we can, it's not all lost. I do not think that we need a law, but please, if you want to do a law, you can go ahead and do a law. I think it's an administrative matter that they can reorganize and look at the national address. Then Lydia. Other addresses can actually now attract the history of our country, where we want to go, because we cannot speak about love. Love is so emotional, and it should be spontaneous. That you don't have to tell me to love, really.
When Uganda,
if I love ET, it doesn't have to tell me love me. I told you the non-verbal, the non-verbal should be so obvious.
Can we play what has love got to do with it?
So thank you, Lydia.
So that is my opinion. But again, I will be happy to attend the budget
Lydia.
speech on Thursday.
Thank you, Lydia.
So that those gaps are addressed.
So
No, they will not be addressed because they
Nancy, you're on
need to
microphone
address
now.
them.
As Robert also prepares to come on, I'll remind Robert that he's the NRM person in the studio. That's the reason I invited him. So
Oh, he is.
He heads a delivery unit in the NRM.
It's not easy being NRM.
This time around,
It is a hard job.
This time
You-
around,
do
my
you see
brother, you
your
need to
comrades
deliver
here?
a State of the Nation address. You find?
Nancy, you're on microphone. Then Robert will come on after.
Oscar, I think you've seen so many jokes about the candidates standing in the United States and their age and the problems that come with that kind of thing when you have leadership. In the case of the United States, of course, the question is competence, especially when it comes to Biden, health-wise, and the ability to go through the next 4 years competently managing a superpower like the United States. But the difference between the United States and Uganda is their average age is quite higher than our average age here in Uganda. I think the president's address yesterday has highlighted what is going on in this country. Even when you look at the budget and the programs and the policies by government, and at this point, the government policies are more making up stuff as you go along than well thought out policies. There is nothing that has been programmed for the youth, that has been planned for the youth. Listening to the president, and I apologize, I was busy with the Uganda Law Society tax symposium, so I listened to the speech afterwards, and the only reason I listened was because I was coming to the capital gang, but still.
Thought there would be a tax component.
And these are the things that he should be addressing. I mean, he's just been in yes.
Cephas Birungi,
Yes.
one of the most respected tax
Yes.
Consultants in the
Yeah.
country.
he gave an apt. He captured the situation aptly. That
Exactly.
we are.
Yeah.
I've
We
said it
want
here
to
before.
apply the
21st
20th
century
solutions
in a 19th century
setting.
setting.
Yes.
Which I've already said, we are primordial.
Yes.
We are primordial.
And the thing with us is that, like I've said, we make up things as we go along. We see a new idea, IFRS, tax stamps, and then we bring it, and we do not adjust our homestead to the new ideas that we are trying to incorporate. And then you get a pushback, and then you think that when you come with the military, you will then competently deal with that pushback. That is no longer the case today.
And
I mean, the
an
president the other
opportunity
day
to talk about issues like
was
that.
was talking to the traders.
Yes.
He did not address. This was an opportunity for him to address the tax issues in the country, to address the traders. Because when that discussion ended, he seemed not happy with the little opportunity was given to address them. Now he's had, over 20 days to go and think. And this was one of the opportunities. Instead of going on and on about Kwame Nkrumah, and these young people don't even know, most of these 25-year-old Bairivi do not even know Kwame Nkrumah.
They know, but it just doesn't appeal to them.
Because they have so much more going on. It's not solving their problem. And if you keep telling them the economy is growing, this speech sounded like Moses Piarohanga wrote it, because when he comes here, he's usually out of touch with reality, like that whole speech. Like it's delusional. When you start telling us there is a surplus
You're
in...
being fair to Moses. It's not delusional.
Hello, Moses, sending you my greetings. But he usually goes off.
And mimics his boss.
and
I think we're big and fair to Moses.
Have you read the 48 Laws of Power? Law number 1, do not try to upstage your boss. And Moses follows that to the letter. So kudos to him. But it sounds like Moses and a couple of other NRM no, I won't use the word stooges. Let me see. NRM.
That one.
Not psychopaths. That one, like those people who follow NRM. it's sad to think that the president can come and spend 2 hours and trust me, I don't think, back in the day, I've said this before. When the president was addressing, especially before the budget, when they were addressing the nation, every single radio station was tuned into that downtown. People listened because they knew that the president's speech is going to touch on their lives. That
I remember when I reminded you the COVID speeches, and I was telling you we were watching the president,
for the
minute
first time,
by
and
minute.
he reveled in it.
Because it was touching
but
your
now.
lives.
It's not the same. Like if the president goes on and on, and even someone like us who have to listen, because we're going to give our opinions on it over the weekend, you get tired of listening, and then you have to switch off, take a break, and have to switch on again, and still there is nothing he's saying that is relevant. I mean, you can't go on and on about surpluses in the sugar sector, iron, and this, and the factories you've created, and the people in your country cannot afford this sugar. So how do you balance that? Here you have.
But that was
surplus.
a positive.
That was a positive one.
It is a positive, but look. If you have surpluses and you truly have surpluses, then people in Kabyong should be able to afford the sugar.
Yes, and that's the point. For example,
if you have surplus milk, then why do the people in Kaberamai do not have this milk
today
to drink?
We produce about 1,300 megawatts of electricity.
Yes.
And
Excess.
we use just about 800.
800.
There is surplus, but only less than 20% in Uganda
26%.
Have access.
have access.
To this
So
electricity.
So the surplus is not because there is a surplus. Actually,
No.
people can't afford it.
Exactly.
You go to the villages, they don't consume
For
sugar.
me,
and say you
his
have a
address
surplus.
should be addressing that gap between the.
But to me,
yes.
Oscar,
Just one second.
just 1 second. You see, if an issue like that comes up, then we debate it.
Yes.
Because that's the state of the nation.
Yes.
So to me, I actually give him a credit to it. I give him credit.
So do I.
I will give him a
Let me
credit
tell
if
you
he
why,
wasn't
because
just
it is the
mentioning
state
it.
of the nation
Yes.
that we are producing this. And now the issue that comes out, especially when you are going to address now in the budget, is how are we going to allocate resources to make the situation better by providing more power?
Exactly.
That should
For
be the
me,
real issue.
that is the real issue. Exactly. That he did.
Nanfi,
No,
hold
but
on.
the sugar is there, first of all.
Abdul, hold on. Edgar, hold on, everyone. We have
But
some
last year it was
students. We have
7,000
some
shillings,
students
9,000 a
from
kilo.
Mengo Secondary School who've come to see the beauty of the Capital Gang. So first pause on your tirade, Nanfi, and we go to Robert here. Robert Kasule Sebunya. Robert, I have a quotation on
But
X
Oscar, just a
formerly.
minute. When you talk of sugar,
No, hold on.
You take Honorable Katutu.
Hold your
So,
fire.
the
Edgar,
mistake was
no,
yours.
hold your fire.
Yeah, because I'm come from the sugar producers.
Robert, there's a quote here.
Okay.
A tweet.
I'm listening to the tweet.
Yes. A tweet from Alan Kasuja.
Okay.
Quoting the president. He says, I now have proof of a corruption racket from the Ministry of Finance to Parliament. And then he says, we are going to crush them.
Yes.
I will not grant them amnesty. Amnesty.
I want to grant them.
He wants.
Yes.
With the crushing of corruption, Uganda is unstoppable. Okay, and Alan Kasuja says that was one of Mzei's most outstanding attributes on strategic patience. In this case, however, it has taken him too long to find the evidence and to act on it.
Okay.
That's your starting, but let him.
Now-
I'll come back to you now.
Okay. I think just as somebody in the studio said, that's no. I'm saying, don't bring Mavati. Don't bring Mavati here. Now I'm saying
On your microphone. is on.
somebody said in one of the conversations here, said the president is clever. Last year's address was structured. This one was not structured. I think it was deliberate, and he denied the age and the energy, the youth, and because now the age of IT, everybody can access State of the Nation addresses everywhere in the world, and he knows the structure he should follow. But at the same time, he doesn't want to to incite people to debate all these problems we're facing. Because if he started on PDM, on PDM, people would quarrel. If he started on roads, people would say, why now my road? So he knows very well, and he suppressed this debate deliberately. He knows they are quarreling, but he doesn't want to add fire to fuel to the fire. So maybe he doesn't want to preempt his speech at the budget speech, because then the budget speech will be structured in those themes, education. So, but this one, the State of the Nation, is like a preamble to the budget, and what will happen is that he will read those things in their structures, in their themes, at the budget level, and somebody else will be reading, and for him, he will come out to only comment on a few. So he knew what he was doing, and because he's even listening to the people, that's when he started on, like, this is not part of the speech. So he brought issues with the parliament and saying this time parliament is working so well with the government. Those were not part of the speech. But he knew what people were thinking and what people were listening to. Then he brought in those other, we can even now say, he used the rubber-dubber style of the State of the Nation. But I think the problem comes from
The rubber-dubber.
Like he.
No, now he knows, and he knows people will be waiting for about education, health, infrastructure, those things that people are expecting, the narrative that people are expecting. But he knew that if he started analyzing the debt levels and everything, people would scream on top of their heads. And no, that's what I'm saying. He was intentional because he knows people know the problems. They are more enlightened about these problems. They face them every day. If it rains, you know what they talk about, the mataba. If it is hot, yeah, and he knows, but he decided to do it differently. Because the answers are not as obvious.
Yeah.
He can't fix the debt problem in a day, not even in a year, not even in 10 years. That I'm saying. The problem is with those who crafted the word State of the Nation. They didn't define what is in the structure. Yes, but the Constitution gave him leeway. Yeah. He would decide. Yes, he didn't say the state of the economy, the state of. Otherwise, he would have gone ahead.
Thank you.
To define what should be involved in the State of the Nation. Because we just copied these words from the American style. Because we wanted to put we were constructing a democracy.
Hold on, Edgar. Thank you.
No, we're crafting a democracy, and we put in so many things from America, from wherever, and we said State of the Nation. But what does it involve? What does the state involve of the nation involve?
Namfi.
And we didn't define it. So we gave him an open check for him to decide what to say. He would have even talked about 2 things or 3.
Okay.
And no, but if we didn't define it, because the State of the Nation of the US cannot be the same narrative as the State of the Nation of Uganda.
No. Yeah.
So,
thank you. Namfi, you're on micro.
Yes. Even if he decided to only talk about security. Not difficult, but I'm telling you the reality. The president chose that narrative because he knew you are going to debate, even he knew you are going to analyze it.
Thank you. Thank you. Just let me have Namfi, Edgar, hold on. Namfi, Abdu, and yourself. Go on.
Oscar. Defending NRM reminds me of a gentleman who was being interviewed on TV to defend his brother who is a serial killer. And at some point he said, I am not here to defend. I don't also understand my brother. So I think NRM people should learn to get to that point where you say, I also did not understand my leader. Lydia tried, but she went soft on it. But Oscar, before you interjected, I was saying the state of the nation.
And you have 2
it
minutes
addressed
because I'm going for a
corruption
break.
and nothing about the Mabati situation, nothing about.
It's not about Mabati.
But that is the state. The state we have exactly.
Starting from the lowest
But right
levels
now,
to
the state right now, exactly. But you see, the state right now is that we have ministers who stole Mabati. We have leaders who are thieves. We have leaders. Yes, these are things he should have addressed, because these are. If he wants anybody to listen to him next time or next week when he comes to tell us about the budget, then he needs, because at the end of the day, the problem with our president is that he forgets that he's our servant. And I think he's come out and told and reminded us he's not. But unfortunately, I will tell him he's not a king, he's our servant. He is here to serve us and do things in accordance to what is good for us. So when he stands on that podium and refuses deliberately to address things that he should be addressing and covers his head in the sand, then he does a disservice to the whole nation. So, Oscar, for me, if he was actually addressing surpluses in any sector, then he needs to have told us why. For example, sugar in surplus was at the beginning of the year 9,000 shillings. Because if you have anything in surplus, then sugar, because Brazilian sugar comes from Brazil and gets here at 1,500 shillings, and yet you have a country producing surplus sugar, then he needs to explain to us the gap between the surplus and a normal Uganda not being able to afford the sugar. And then in the budget, he can tell us. Then he also needs to explain to us why, despite the fact that we have all these factories that he has talked about and we are doing bubu, why are they headed by Indians and Chinese mostly? Because yes, he comes and tells us, but I struggle to find a real Ugandan, native Ugandan, who has been uplifted to a point of wealth in this government. So yes, they may be Ugandans, but why is it that they are of certain ethnicities, foreign ethnicities? Is there a gap? Is there a problem? Is there something? Why not Katuntu here heading the Meta factory?
Tribal production.
And then, of course, he starts by gaslighting us and telling us not to go tribes and religion. And yet, he himself is practicing this at any given time. He has said
that tribes can grow different.
But when you say one thing and
so
do another, then you don't do a justice to
Let's
yourself.
talk for a break. I'll have Abdul and Edgar close this topic out. And then
Capital FM's Capital Gang, in association with Uganda Martyrs University in Nkosi, making a difference.
Come back from the break. This is the Capital Gang. Abdul, you had wished to conclude on this topic.
Yeah, I think we are saying the same thing, but in different, words and structure. And to me, I don't think a president of a country
that is not complimentary.
I don't think that's complimentary. That the president of a country should be diversion.
He knows what to say.
If you move away from what is provided for by the law and more so the constitution, really. So, what is the way forward? Because at the end of the day, we can always discuss until the hens come home to roast. But what we should be thinking about is how do we help a head of state to address the nation on the state of the country as it is now. And this can only be possible by enacting a law to operationalize Article 101.
Yes.
Otherwise, if we don't do that, even next financial year, the other financial year, even when my sister Lydia becomes president, she will
choose what to say.
So I think it's not about the president choosing what he says, but what is required
to be said.
Him. There is this joke, Oscar, you teachers know it better. When you set an exam for your students, and then they end up answering
their own exam.
They set the only question away from what you've said and answer it. I think that's what we've been going through. The president should be assisted, and the earlier we do it as parliament, the better.
If you have better leaders.
Yes. Elizabeth in Kampala says, please put those student visitors on gang instead of a gangster shouters. Maybe we need new voices and ideas. Lydia.
We are gangs.
Moses has a message for you. I hope you'll be able to read it on the forum. But I also have a message here from Roger Swandulu from Mumbale. He's saying that UBC should be more clear on Thursday, because I think on last Thursday they were not clear. And this is the national broadcaster, so people would like to watch their budget. So UBC, I hope you have heard this. But he's also saying that next Saturday, Oscar will be taking here Arabica coffee from Mumbare, and Roger Swandu will bring the coffee for all the gangsters and then to the listeners. On the national address, I think that it's all not lost. I hope that on Thursday, the structure will come out to address Uganda as at 2023-24 going forward, because it's supposed to speak to our expectations, the next budget expectations or promises. So where are we coming from the last 1 year, and where are we going the next 1 year? That should be able to come out in summary, so that we need to know, okay, this is where we were last year, what happened, what did not happen, and why. Then this is where we are going next year, because it's an annual event. So I don't know whether that's what Katunt wants to put in the law, that I should talk about what has happened within the last 12 months when I become president, because not everything that is an act is followed to the letter. You know that very well. But I think that is the wish, that it should be an annual accountability of where we have come from in the last 12 months to where we want to go in the next 12 months. Just a summary of people's expectations and actual aspirations. We do not have to deliver everything. Actually, we can also talk about failures and then emerging issues. You can plan that in the next 12 months.
We are better talk about the challenges.
Yes, and how you're going to address them. We should never run away from the problems.
So it's not about talking about success.
Even the failures.
We need to talk about the challenges.
You see, you can say in the next 12 months, we are going to do this and that, and then you do not reach that. Or there are also emerging issues. We never budgeted for Ebola, or we never budgeted for COVID. We woke up one morning and COVID was on the table. So those are some of the things that you can talk about, and then you say, how then are we going to address them in the next 12 months, aligned to the budget expectations, the wish list, as you call it.
So Moses says, message says, the president's speech was on ideology.
Yeah.
If we understand that ideology of patriotism and Pan-Africanism, then you will know that that is the way forward for Uganda to create jobs for the youth, like Namfuka is talking about. The president talked about non-tariff barriers that are hindering trade between Uganda and our EAC partners. The president urged member states to stop non-trade barriers. If this is followed, then our economy will expand, hence get more jobs and revenue to invest in other sectors. On the issues of how the sectors are performing, that will be in the budget speech, which is also a duty of a president to present to Parliament. Right, so
Oscar, I was supported to say the president knows exactly what he intended to do. He didn't want to speak through sectors and the themes of security and whatever. He talked about things generally.
Honorable Robert Kasule Sebunya, I think yours is not complimentary.
And the law doesn't, he didn't offend any law.
Honorable
until you structure
Heroes Day,
we operationalize it.
Coming up.
The way we want it.
Next topic is Heroes Day.
Heroes Day is actually tomorrow.
Yes, it's coming up.
In Gomba.
And the theme, Lydia?
The theme, what's the theme?
So, do we have heroes? On microphone. Heroes Day is coming up.
Yes.
It's on a Sunday, so people miss out on it being on a weekday. But it's a public holiday tomorrow on Heroes Day.
Okay, we've missed Ofono Opondo, because the last time we were speaking about it, he gave the genesis. I was trying to find it. It started pure as an NRA day to remember their colleagues, specifically the ones that were executed in Kikandwa 1981. And then they went on to give medals to and recognize other fighters who had helped Mr. Museveni to come into power. At one time, they had even set up a committee, I think, which was headed by Tumwine. I think he was the one who was identifying.
Head of the Chancellor.
Head of the Chancellor.
Later. I'm talking about the beginning. Because he was senior and he always wanted to his seniority to be next to Museveni, to Mwine. So he's the one who was identifying people to recognize, to remember. Those are new. I'm talking about the beginning. Kagonyera is yesterday. I'm talking about the beginning. So later on, when it was institutionalized, it also moved away from recognizing only Bush war fighters. I think they wanted, in my view, they wanted to maintain the day. And that's why they moved away, because they had almost finished, but others had also annoyed Museveni along the way. After giving someone a medal for fighting in Luwero, then the following day he says you should stop here. So he now moved away from the Luwero fighters to include everybody, including all sorts of people who by themselves should have been shocked when they are being given the medals that they are heroes. So he goes to arts, he picks teachers, he picks... so the day was institutionalized, and we even passed a budget to make sure that it happens. In fact, if you read the budget of the presidency this financial year, the complaint was that they had not provided the financial requirements that should go along with the medals, that those who are receiving them actually are more interested in the money than the medals themselves. That they didn't say, but it is just implied. So the selection now is in the hands of a committee that was put in place. So the younger people, I have heard today that more than 80% of Ugandans are below the age of 40. So I have grown, Oscar. I am now among the 20%. I don't know, maybe Museveni is on 1% or even 0.1. So the young people may not know that history. Is it useful? I actually don't know that this day is useful anymore. Because even if you want to recognize people, do it a State of National Address or at budget. I was in Tanzania sometime back during Magufuli. And he said even the independence doesn't mean that people go on holiday, we spend money. He said the money for this year's function should be used to do he identified some roads. He said I will give a speech on TV. But these days he helped Mr. Museveni also to do the campaign and go around the country. That's why they are spread. I hear they are in Gomba. Yeah, they are in Gomba. So he keeps spreading this function. It has become one way for him to campaign. So, Oscar, the beginning also had its own problems, because Museveni was recognizing only those that were loyal to him. If you speak to the historical UPDF people, they will tell you that some of the people he was recognizing are not actually should never have been recognized. And I think today it remains the same thing. People like Besigye and Montu and those ones will never be recognized. The moment you oppose him, then you are not a hero. So the heroes are those who have helped Museveni to capture power, and those who continue to help him to stay in power. And maybe he needs to call it find an NRM function where he can go and recognize this. Because as soon as Museveni goes, Oscar, I can tell you all these marking and celebrating these days will stop. Because they are partisan. The message there is partisan. They are meant to reward the people who have helped them to be in power. So there are not days that you remember. I was in Nigeria when they were marking the Independence Day in Nigeria. Almost everybody, including children, they treat it as a national day. But these partisan NRM days recognizing people who illegally picked up arms and were killed by government. And then you continue giving medals to your supporters, NRM structures, campaign committees, and then you want the country to come to a standstill because you are recognizing your own campaign structures. So for me, there is no value in it. But since we are ruled by gunmen, they can announce NRM. Even the DEM7 captured the power. Even the DEM7 captured the power, but they were still celebrated as a national day.
Okay. Heroes Day.
Heroes Day is going to be in Gomba in a place called Impenja, and they will be recognizing 53. They've identified 53 heroes or heroines whom Honorable Semuju gave the relevant background. There is a statutory instrument onto this, and there's even a committee and the chancellery that identifies them, and then there is, of course, facilitation of getting them medals and recognition for the various contributions they've made to our country. This year's theme is called Hail Our Legends. A Secure Uganda is now a reality. So that is the theme you asked me, Oscar. It's the theme for this year. It is true that it began as a recognition of those that were in the struggle to liberate our country as at 1986, but thereafter they've been able to expand given the new arrangement. It is participatory but also inclusive, including different Ugandans that have made a contribution in the different sectors to the development of our country. There are those who have participated in the socio-economic transformation of our country. Others have been in the academia. Others have been in governance of our country. Those that wrote for us the 1995 Constitution up to date. And then, of course, those in uniform. And I've seen many times they've also given us those who have saved our country, like in the pandemics, the health sector, the heroes there. You remember the late Dr. Rukia? He was recognized. I think his family got it posthumously. And I think it's a good thing to recognize contribution to people, and it is now a part of our culture. So that day set aside, which is now tomorrow, 9th of June, I think it's good so that we are able to recognize people when they are still alive, but also it's a motivational arrangement for people to work hard, knowing that one day the committee will recognize them for the contribution they've made and they get their medal. It also percolates to the family, to the clan. I've witnessed, like tomorrow there are 53. I've witnessed families that come to be recognized. It's very exciting. It's very motivating. But also people now look forward to also working hard. The particular in which I saw that also made me feel very good was when they were recognizing Ugandan entrepreneurs who have made a very big contribution to the economy and also to establishing like the hospitality industry. The late BMK, when he came for that medal, I could see he came with his family. It was a very exciting day when they were now reading his citation as having been one of the first Ugandans to put up hotels, to bring infrastructures, spare parts, and also to be able to give us to grow investments in the hospitality industry, including in Karamoja, but also away from Uganda. He had a hotel in Zambia and Zanzibar and Dar es Salaam. So it was very, very good to see such indigenous Ugandans being recognized, and they become now role models to other Ugandans.
Robert?
I think I agree with what Honorable Wanyota has said. Still an important day. The problem is that, it started as an NNM thing, but it became inclusive. And teachers are recognized, engineers are recognized, entrepreneurs are recognized. And it is good to be recognized. Even if the president mentioned a name at the State of the Nation, people need to be recognized in what they do best. And I think we still need it. Role modeling is also good for people to know that when you do such a thing, you are recognized. But also, just like the State of the President always wants to remind the X generation, please, this is where we began. This is where we are heading. And it gives a background to where we came from, where we are, and where we are going. So I think it is still relevant, much as the opposition has right from the beginning failed to recognize and to embrace it. I don't remember when but even opposition people at some point will be recognized in their own time, maybe in their own time. That's when they appreciate that it is better. Like Katuntu is a good candidate.
You laugh at such
a good candidate. No, but maybe even now you can be recognized, and that longevity in leadership also I think brings it to close to a big contribution.
I noted your laugh because it was like the impossibility of this
not
happening.
impossibility.
That's
not
why you had that.
but because they will
cynical
always
laugh.
despise, the things that NRM has done. Even when they see the growth, even when they see the where we were and where we are now. Okay, doesn't mean that when we are here, we shouldn't get any problems or have economic problems, structural problems. We shall always have problems in a country. That's like Biden is struggling with his now dented foreign policy. So we shall always have problems, but it is good to recognize people, those who have contributed to the nation in one way or the other. It's still important, and I think tomorrow I will be in Mpenja also.
Okay.
It's also good. You caucus with between the ages, the young, the old, and it's a day of reflection.
Honorable Katonto.
And it's still important.
Maybe one day they'll invite you or honor you in your own time.
He's invited. They invite them as members of parliament.
Well, you see, I go back to the Constitution. What is provided for is that this country shall have norms, aspirations, and values. And it's like we have a consensus as a nation that these are our norms, these are our values, and these are our aspirations. And people who have contributed to that should be given the honor they deserve. Unfortunately, Hitler once said that the victors write the rules.
Yeah, okay.
And that's where we are now, because now values are different. What the rulers think are the values, they may not necessarily mean the values. Aspirations are different. What the victors think are the aspirations of the people, the country may not necessarily think the same. So that's why you don't have this enthusiasm, because we don't have that consensus as a country. These are our norms, and these are the people who have contributed to it, and they deserve recognition. So if you go down the street there and you tell them tomorrow is Heroes Day, they are going to ask you questions about what are you talking about, because we are doing one thing which they actually don't believe in, and that's quite unfortunate. Every country has this sort of recognition, national recognition. They have it. And the history of it, actually, in all of them is the army, because belonging to the army sometimes is the ultimate sacrifice a citizen can make to his nation. That's why in most cases you find that the priority goes to people who have been in the military. So, but other than that, we have people who really deserve it. And if you talk, for example, about, now I don't want to be partisan, but the NRA war, I'm sure there are many NRA officers who fought bravely, but they have not qualified to be on that list. Why? Because of disagreements. If you're talking about teachers, people should sit, and the industry or the sector should be able to propose. If you're talking about health, that sector, people should sit. If you're talking about lawyers, the law society should sit and propose names. Other than some chancellor headed by Sebunya there.
By the way, it is the sectors who sometimes choose and send the names.
No, what is the
But
criteria?
maybe it's not formalized.
What
It's
is
not
the
formalized.
criteria? So how do you do it? How do we know?
Yeah, not formalized.
You see, you
Typically, a hero should be known.
a
go on.
hero
I
should
have
be really known,
Abdul's microphone.
and there should be consensus about the country. That is our hero. You remember this girl, for example, Lukuya. I mean, who in his senses can say he is not a Ugandan hero? They ultimately paid the price, like indeed the soldier could have. This girl of Budo,
Namaganda.
is she Namaganda?
Namaganda. 9 year old.
When you speak about her, tears sort of even come in some of our eyes. Those are the heroes, not controversial, but to say, you know, her now, Katonto, when he maybe sometime in the only time, he would also be a good. I mean, that's not something I want to address my mind to.
Edgar?
I'd like to agree.
It's an excellent.
Go on, Edgar, you're on.
Honorable Semuju, there's I intended to say before you interrupted me that this entire process has remained elitist. Heroes, if you look at the lists of the recognized people, they have been mainly the elites. And I think we should cast our net wider and go beyond persons we read on a daily basis or we've read about, legends we've read about in the past. There are many community persons involved in community initiatives who are heroes and would do well as a country to recognize them. I'll give some quick examples. There was this gentleman, I don't know whether he was honored. There's this gentleman who participated in the arrest of the killers of the head of the Ndiga clan in Lunguja. And for me, not even the chasing. For me, what stood out about that fellow was when he prevented the other persons from administering mob justice. And he said that if you kill this man, then where shall we have the evidence and the motive for the slaying of the head of the Ndiga clan?
He took a few kicks.
Yeah, and he was injured. Now, me, I think that was an act of heroism.
He's a complete hero.
Believe me, I am on a number of what we'd call elite forums, particularly of these NRA people who belong to that primordial thinking that you should administer instant justice. You should administer lynch mob justice. Now, I think that was an excellent person that we should emulate. There's another person, you remember the flooding on the expressway? There was a taxi that was going to be submerged by the flash waters. You remember, and this guy was driving, I think, was it a tank? And drove it there, reversed, put a rope and pulled it. I think some of those acts are acts of heroism. But over the saving lives, now, by even impacting on community, there are people who have conserved our heritage, our languages. There are some languages, by the way, who had they not been reduced into writing, would have disappeared. Do you know we have some ethnic groups with as few as 8,000, 10,000 people? You've heard of Ikiku, the Kuku, very.
There is one, is it Amagala?
So you are not satisfied with our choice of heroes?
We should cast the net wider and maybe have public participation in choosing the heroes.
Okay.
In other countries, they even call the list number and they ask for. Of course, it can be rigged and people can vote either online. Some people can manipulate it. Some people can manipulate it. But I think we should. If we're to do that, then we would have even the persons who would never have made it ordinarily, given the criteria to use, appear and inspire the rest of us.
Yeah. Now, if we close this out, do you have heroes in Uganda?
No.
Oh, no.
Even
no
those we've
way.
mentioned are just people we can applaud for their courage. Do we need a whole day to remember anybody? Look at the list of the 35, 36, 53. And do we recognize anybody? Can you tell us 5 of them and we see whether our listeners even recognize any or their achievements? And Oscar, back in the day, for example, no. Back in the day, there were genuine heroes. For example, people who stood up to the colonialists. They lost their lives, they fought, they went an extra mile to fight for a worthy cause. And these we did not even need a day to recognize them again and again. These were recognized, these were rewarded, and these are people who have books written about them. Does Namaganda did she do a great thing? Amazing. Did Lukuya do something amazing, giving his life for that? He's loaded. But we can do this on the 26th of January. We don't need a whole day to the day your NRM captured power. We can. So I don't know whether there is a
NRM liberated us from.
Is there a procedure for removing public holidays?
From tyranny.
The day NRM liberated you from tyranny. But
you as well. Your family participated in that liberation struggle.
No.
Yeah, finish off.
And as warmongering becomes a negative thing, because I mean, for many decades and centuries, war heroes were actually people that were loaded in society. But even when you go to America, people coming from Iraq, there are people, you see all these people picketing funerals of people coming back from Afghanistan and calling them baby killers. So war is no longer something that is loaded in today's society. And for that reason, the whole concept of war hero, and I think most of the heroics that should be loaded are war heroes, is losing its glitz. So as we go on, we need to rethink the whole thinking behind Heroes Day, who is a hero, because at some point in Burundi, I think Pierre Nkurunziza even awarded his housemaid a Heroes Medal. So I think we need to rethink
of his passing today, 8th June.
Good riddance.
Good riddance.
Yes. So for me, before we get to a point where the president is rewarding his housemaid, I think we need to sit and rethink. Yes, he was a nuisance, which all of us were good to get rid of. So Oscar, yes, we need to rethink the whole hero thing, Heroes Day, because otherwise we'll continue giving all NRMP. I don't even know who we are giving to this year and these days and what is in it for anybody.
Abdul, it was maybe an error on my part asking Nafi to close out this subject.
It is already closed.
So, Honorable Semuju, you make a start on this one. The Jim Spire Sentongo says Honorable Semuju faults MPs who condemn service award monies, yet Parliament passed the budget with those allocations. I think the spirit of his condemnation can best be read from his contradictions. He has often faulted State House and the President's expenditure of money that Parliament approved for the same. Why does he find need to condemn that and not the service awards? In any case, of all the issues that have been raised about Parliament recently, including the arbitrary drawing of billions, why hasn't he found any issue with those, yet he's always quick to point out State House extravagance? Does he notice the contradictions? If you can't contribute to censuring a friend, why should Museveni sack his corrupt friends and relatives?
First of all,
so the topic was, has the censure died?
I didn't know that.
Does it have your contribution?
I didn't know that Sentongo is at pain each time I mention extravagance at State House. I didn't know he was at pain.
No, he's not. That's not the point.
And I have not stopped anyone from raising issues of corruption anywhere else. But if it pains him, I am sorry, I'll have to continue doing so.
Your diversion, it is not painful.
I am not.
He says it is not the point.
I am not,
you are
Oscar.
Just diverting away. You are on this show earlier, Honorable Semuju, Oscar, on this show earlier, you have done also a Robert Kasule Sebunya.
No.
Now you are at par.
Each time a budget has been brought before Parliament, I have, and maybe others have mentioned about the money from Museveni. The budget was brought to Parliament. Nobody raised objection about it. The one of Museveni who have raised objection. I'm asking people actually to be consistent. You cannot be the one who has passed a budget and the following day you are using this money to clean yourself. No objection was raised by anyone. That's a difference. But I know his issues because he started a topic. He thinks everybody must be harded to support it. And please don't count me among those that you had to support everything. I will choose which one to support, and I have reasons. I must quarrel. Why shouldn't I quarrel? You see, the success, Oscar, the success
I only
of
have Semuju's microphone.
The success of the censure now is not going to depend on the mobilization.
Or the failure of the censure.
It's not going to depend on the mobilization by the movers or the evidence that they are presenting. It is going to entirely depend on the politics. Chagulanyi dismissed Mpuga. He wants him out. He has an army of MPs. He must order them to go and sign. People who turn up to sign, me from my journalistic background, I will interpret and know that this particular group now is taking action. When I saw some elements of Muhoozi Kainerugaba signing, I knew that Muhoozi Kainerugaba now wants the censor sign. When the other day I saw some elements of Janet Kataha signing, I knew because I know she personally brought them to Parliament. So when they sign, and that's why Oscar...
And those people want Semuju to sign. What aspect is that?
They want...
Because you want anti-corruption crusader to sign.
I didn't know actually that my signature is this important.
Yeah, you're an anti-corruption
No, I said
crusader.
I didn't know.
That is the sign we see.
But Oscar, I gave a reason that is personal. For me, even if Mpuga had been convicted, I said I will not participate. To compare me with Museveni is just being funny. I am not stopping the process. People continue signing. Even today or tomorrow they will sign. I am only saying this is a human. I'm staying away. And my staying away, does it convict or not convict? No, the trouble with Museveni is interfering with the processes. If he was leaving processes to go ahead, I wouldn't be faulting him. I am not interfering. I am not interfering with the process.
Any process.
Oscar,
you are just saying personally, you are not...
You somewhere, if you are in trouble tomorrow, so you want me to come and participate if you are being linked. No, I cannot. I will not. For you, if you can... For you, if you can, I wish you well. But me, once a friend is involved, I'll declare. Even in Parliament is provided for.
You used a bad example of somewhere, but now we hear you.
In the Parliament, by the way, if you read our rules and you go to the Code of Conduct, you will be told where you have a conflict of interest, please declare it and stay away. And I declared and I stayed away. I don't know why people will want me, even after that disclosure,
come to you, Edgar,
to go ahead.
So this censure, the censure, is it dying? And when it dies, shall we blame Semuju as well for its death?
For Semuju's case, my late husband contested as an independent in Mbale municipality when I was a commissioner of the NRA Metro Commission. Now the members of the NRA wanted me to go on a platform in Mbale and campaign for the flag bearer. And I'm like, now when I leave the podium, whose house do I go to? So I tell them, I'm not going to campaign for the flag bearer. I am conflicted. The independent is my husband. I was crucified like Semuju, but I think that I'm not very far from that Semuju. So how do you now go and campaign for a flag bearer? And then your husband is the independent. Then you go to the same house in the evening.
It could even be beyond the house. You go to the same bed.
So that is that.
This is a morning show.
Semuju, I don't know whether that is the same. I just
Busoga sub-region has a precedent.
Because in many...
MP for Buzaya was interpreter for President Museveni. And President Museveni was campaigning the wife. And he was using adjectives and he was interpreting in the exact manner
in the Soga.
And I can tell you the consequences of that were dire. They up to today.
We don't want to go into the details. I understand what you
brought it up.
So that's what happened to me. I could not.
And in that,
so I didn't go for the campaign, and I paid a heavy price at that time.
I have not mentioned any names here. They are elders in the society. They are elders in society. One went ahead to serve as Minister of State for Finance, for land.
Edgar, let's stop for a break. But after the break, we come back to the issue. Is the censure still running or has it died?
The Capital Gang on Capital FM with Uganda Martyrs University in Nkosi. Making a difference. It's the ultimate rough cut show in the land and beyond. The Rough Cuts. Smile for me, Jamaica. Feel good music. This is my soul. She said she heard me on the radio. She asked me when I'm coming home. The Rough Cuts. Feeling your soul with nothing but hit music. Hit music. Every Saturday Saturday from 12 p.m. on Capital FM. Fresh hits for Uganda.
Uganda Matters University in Kozi invites applications for both undergraduate and postgraduate programs for the academic year 2024-2025. For postgraduate programs, one must have attained a degree in a relevant area from a recognized university. For undergraduate programs, we welcome applicants with a minimum of 2 principal passes. We offer unique courses at our various campuses at Nkozi, Rubaga, Fort Portal, Masaka, Ngeta, and Mbale. To apply, please visit our website or any of our branches or call 0772-513-715. That is 0772-513-715. Uganda Matters University, making a difference.
Prudent life is there for you. Future yo. Okay, simplicity. 'Cause life is a journey. Twisting and turning. Prudent life's got you. Only no go forward, go pass on your future yo. Now to walk. There's no one is tomorrow. Prudential is your friend.
Don't leave your family's financial future to chance. Choose the Prudent Life Plan from Prudential Uganda.
Prudential. Let's face life together. Tulinawe. Prudential is regulated by the Insurance Regulatory Authority.
In fulfillment of Article 155.1 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, the Finance Minister Honorable Matia Kasaija will present to Parliament the budget for financial year 2024-2025 on 13th of June 2024 at Kololo Ceremonial Grounds. Parliament approved the budget amounting to 72.137 trillion Ugandan shillings. The budget aims to accelerate economic growth to at least 7%, transitioning from a raw materials-based to a manufacturing and knowledge-based economy. The budget priorities include full monetization of Uganda's economy through commercial agriculture, industrialization, service expansion, infrastructure development, digital transformation, market access, and boosting household incomes. The government strategy aims to grow the economy from $50 billion in financial year 2023-2024 to $500 billion in 15 years, focusing on agro-industry, tourism, oil and mineral development, science, technology, and innovation. This message is brought to you by the Civil Society Budget Advocacy Group, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, and the Budget Transparency Initiative partners.
The Capital Gang on Capital FM with Uganda Martyrs University in Kozi, making a difference.
Welcome back from the break. It was a loud break, and the break is still louder. So, Edgar, you're on microphone, but I need to remind you, the topic for discussion is not Semojo. The topic is the censure still moving or not?
But you can't discuss the censure properly. You can't do surgery.
You can, because
without administering anesthesia.
Let me give you information.
And the anesthesia.
Edgar, let me tell you, the votes so far are bordering on 150, the signatures, and I think they need about 180.
177?
So, I'm like, yes. So this is the discussion point. So do you think that they will get the 170-something votes that they need?
I wish you knew what was in the background. There's what they call the said and the unsaid. And I always emphasize this, that many events turn on information that is not available to the public. It's understandable why people are throwing stones at the Right Honorable Mpuga. I must also declare a conflict of interest. I mean, I should. I'm a lawyer of 25 years experience. I should, rise above some of these pettiness. And I would be lying to myself that I would join in the lynch mob that is throwing stones at the Right Honorable Mathias Mpuga.
Or the other commissioners?
Well, the others are little known. There's one from Rwanda and Sijui where. Those are little known. Mpuga is a national leader. Guys, no, listen to me, guys. Mpuga is a national leader. Now, Mpuga, and I mouthed it off at the beginning of this, but I've said it elsewhere. I started with Honorable Semuju, and over the years I've watched him. He has matured as a leader, and indeed and I really, really salute you for coming out openly and declaring his
do you think they'll get the 30 signatures?
I know what is going on in the background. Last weekend, I was on another political
Speaking
show.
like a true lawyer, I don't think you'll answer.
No. Sorrow Pendi did bring some information to my attention, and that there were some behind the scenes maneuvers to fail with the motion. That is her. That was her telling me.
But do you think they will be there? They're not.
Okay.
This is politics.
That is her telling you.
That is her telling me.
Okay.
And
let's go, because we're out of time.
Okay, much obliged.
Yeah. Lydia, on microphone, will the censure motion fail?
I don't know. I cannot speculate.
The way you are seeing things.
I am not seeing anything.
Will NRM win the election in 2026? The way you are seeing things.
The way I'm seeing things, we shall win landslide.
Okay.
Yes.
But the way you are seeing these things, you are not seeing them.
the ones of Parliament, I do not see. Why I'm not seeing is I'm only seeing the side. I've not. Why, by the way, haven't you invited the parliamentary commissioners for a talk show?
I invited you, Lydia.
No, I'm not a commissioner of parliament.
You're a big
Why haven't you invited?
NRM.
Because some of them actually normally come here. Because I have not heard from parliamentary commissioners, the four of them at all. But Ipuga was on NBS Morning Breeze. But I have heard more from Sechikubo. So I would be unfair to listen to Sechikubo and say the motion is indecent. But those who are quiet could be...
these people will then speak.
Like E.T. has said, you never know what those quiet four are doing. Because you are not hearing Sechikubo.
Robert, let's go to Robert Sewunya.
Yeah.
Will the censure motion succeed? Or
The
not succeed?
censure motion is descending into a fist fight. And
because they need just the 30 signatures.
Yeah, I think they will get the numbers because there are teams, there are cliques, there are groups. We see.
I wish you could tell us who those are.
And the narrative is running away from what the public is seeing. The public is very angry, by the way. And it is up to those in Parliament now to either wash their hands off the public or listen and go and debate properly. And that's what I wish is the members of Parliament agree for the motion to come. Then everybody clears his name on the floor of Parliament. Otherwise, history will not judge these parliamentarians well. It is better they go and everybody brings the facts on the table. If it was in the budget, yes, it was in the budget. Was it debated? Yes, it is debated. If it is was it necessary? Are the amounts moderate?
As compared to what?
As compared to relative to
Kampala Road.
Maybe to you can't compare it to the general public salaries and emoluments. But I mean, is the figures are they justifiable? In accounts or something, there is what we call I'm forgetting substantial. Substantialism. I mean, it is when Parliament sits down. In fact, the two groups can even sit down and say, let's resolve this matter like this. For the sake of the status of Parliament, because we need Parliament, even after this 11th Parliament, we shall need Parliament in the 20th Parliament. So, for us to go ahead and leave the stature of Parliament in one piece, and people still have hope in Parliament, they should manage it in a mature way. And I know the Katuntus are there. We have passed through certain crises and we have managed them at the end of the
Katuntu has warned his members, not warning, guided his members of the committee on rules and discipline to say, don't go there because the matter might come to our committee. So,
He's here.
So I think the best way, the best way is for the seniors, is the seniors prevail over. Okay, maybe the newcomers to say this excitement is not good for this country.
Namfi, has the censure died or it will continue?
Oscar, unfortunately, for these people, this noise is happening at the same time.
There's a tweet here. Listeners are very... So Greens can see messages. When the president never opened his eyes widely and repeated the word corruption while giving his State of Nation address, I concluded that the censure motion is moving into miscarriage for God and my country.
Of course, and the irony of it, of all the corruption that is going on, and there is a lot of it. I mean, you open a New Vision daily, and there are 5 stories of government officials stealing money from investors, forging things.
The Minister of Finance is now.
Exactly. So when we choose one single thing to make so much noise about, then that also begs the question, when we even have a president who is telling us he knows the corrupt individuals but is not listing them. So it's a farce, and Ugandans are not fooled by even this censure motion. I particularly am not impressed by it, whether it goes anywhere or not, because even the person who started it could not sit here and tell us that if these people are found guilty, this will happen. We decided to hide behind,
he didn't
let's
want to
first
get
finish
into
this because the procedure is this, let's first finish this. If someone starts speaking from both sides of the mouth, then it becomes very difficult for us to even trust them. So for me, because it comes on the backdrop of noises of both the public coming out with an outcry against the taxes, and then we see, on the other hand, government officials vulgarly dividing the little that we have among themselves for no good reason. On the one hand, you're strangling the poor Muiribi downtown to give you, on the street, to give you the mega little profit that they have from their business. On the other, you're already getting the people who are earning the most in the country, and they sit among themselves and they divide this money among themselves with impunity, and we all know nothing is going to be done to them. So none of us here sits deceived, because if we couldn't even fire every single hearing of any corruption issue in the last 5 years, nobody has served any punishment. Nobody has retired from their position. Nobody has been brought to book. So what makes us think that this is going to be any different? So we, the members of the public, have a cynical view of this. Now back to my brother Ssemujju, who I absolutely love. Mm-hmm. There are better ways of doing things. This is why you see in other countries the politicians have PR machines. If you're going to go down a road of this is my friend, then there are ways of doing it. I remember listening to the Senate hearing of Mark Zuckerberg, and I think he has the best PR and the best lawyer and the best coach. He sat there, and at every given point, he did not deny, he did not admit, he remained neutral. His face remained neutral like a robot. Yes. And to date, from that Senate hearing, there is nothing you can hold against him. Ssemujju could have done this better.
So he was economical with the truth.
Exactly.
Which Ssemujju has not done.
And let me tell you,
or you could have been vague like Kasule Sebunya style.
Yes. And as I throw my stones at Ssemujju, I realize that in some countries we even have the Fifth Amendment, where you cannot, you are allowed to abstain from something if it is going to incriminate you, or you're trying to save yourself or your morality or whatever. Ssemujju could have told us, I recuse myself because I'm conflicted and I have decided to stay away. Make one statement, I'm coming.
That's what he has said.
I'm coming. Make one statement, stick to it, refer to it at every given point. But right now, as people who follow him and admire him,
Ssemujju, no. What are her fees, and I sign her up for you?
Listen.
I'm seeing a very senior editor getting a lesson on communication from the lawyer.
Should realize that at this point he's not just Ssemujju. There is more at stake for us who sit and listen to him, admire him, trust him to go out there and fight for us. Because when this ends and he's tainted, who then is going to fight for us? Because look at people like Katuntu here. Sebunya, this fellow here from NRM, and Wanyoto, they pick and choose the times they fight for us. And yet Ssemujju, for the last 10 years, has gone there, stuck it out, and fought for us. So when we lose credibility of a person like that, it is a huge blow to us, the opposition.
For your information, we had a young girl here on a show like you, Agatha Atuhaire. She was also crucifying Ssemujju for not saying one sentence.
Exactly. Okay. So even when he chooses I'm just telling Semuju, even when he chooses not to say one sentence, there is a way he has to do it so that we retain him as a credible oppositional force in the opposition sector, who then the next time President Museveni is recusing himself from dealing with his son or his children, then Semuju can come with the authority and
Namfi.
credibility to speak out against corruption.
You've spoken well.
Because
we are out
when
of
you
time.
continue like this, Semuju,
You've spoken
you're losing
well.
credibility,
Out of
and
time.
you can't afford to lose that.
Abdu.
That's it. Don't comment on this.
Abdu is you've had Honorable Abdu Katuntu. You've been away from Gang a while, so you've missed even the one sentence. So what is your one sentence? Is this censure mode dying? Censure motion dying, or will they get their signatures? I can ask you a safe question.
Well, I thought a person like you should be not like a moderator on the street. You should know the person you are speaking to.
I
The person you are
also like
asking
to
a
be
question.
moderator of a street.
Yeah, and that's where we play different leagues.
But mine is very careful
answer
for you.
your question.
Yes.
You know very well I'm the chairman of Rules Discipline of Parliament. Any issue concerning misbehavior of any member of Parliament is potentially a matter before me. I have asked, actually I've directed, not even asked, I've directed all members on the Rules Committee not to get involved in this process. In the case it ends up on our committee. And if they do, and I hear some have done, I will not allow them to participate in the proceedings of that. And that's where I end.
So he thinks it will end up in the disciplinary committee?
I don't know.
It's a very good response. So, thank you. Just a question again, Abdu, if you could make a comment on this one. Thanks a lot of the good work you're doing on Gang, Gangsters of a Day, just for the country. And talking of heroes, last night we lost a senior doctor, and you know him, Abdu, Dr. Joshua Musinguzi, the immediate past manager of AIDS control program in Ministry of Health. A splendid gentleman, and the Capital Gang should celebrate him. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
I didn't know. He passed away last evening?
Yeah, last evening. Had valve, something valve surgery.
A surgery that went wrong.
Yeah, they had surgery about
I'm told it was heart surgery. Oh, okay. Yes. So that's unfortunate. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Uganda Matters University, Nkozi, and others invites applicants for both undergraduate and postgraduate programs for the academic year 2024-2025. For postgraduate programs, one must have attained a bachelor's degree. For underground programs, you need 2 principal passes. We at Uganda Matters offer unique programs at our various campuses, Nkozi, Rubaga, Fort Portal, Masaka, Mbale, and Ngeta. And Uganda Matters University, Making a Difference, is a sponsor of the Capital Gang. So thank you so much, Gangsters of the Day, Honorable Abdu Katuntu, thank you so much. Honorable Semuju, thank you so much. Honorable Kasule Sebunya, thank you so much. Honorable Lydia Anyoto, thank you so much. The lawyers, Edgar Tabaro, thank you so much. Namfi Marian Kasule, thank you so much. I am Oscar Semoyams, okay, and I shall see you next week. The lawyer, but I recognize you for sake, well above lawyers. I am Oscar Semoyams, okay, I shall see you next week.